Hi, I'm Tim and welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to be unboxing some Reolink products, and Reolink have kindly sent me these. And in the first box there is the Reolink Home Hub, and in the second box we have the Reolink Argus Eco Ultra and also a Reolink Solar Panel too. So if you want to know what these products look like, then keep watching this video, and what we'll do is do an unboxing. We'll take a look at the items and we'll also go through the specifications, and then in the video after this one, so the next video coming up after this one, what we'll do is go in depth and we'll take a closer look at the product, and also what we'll do is I'll show you how the fixings work for the product, so how you would fix them onto the wall or wherever you want to fix them. And we'll also, what we'll do in probably the same video or then a third video, what we'll do is I'll show you how to set them up in the Reolink app. So that will be adopting the products into the Reolink app, setting them up ready to be installed on where you want them to be located. So let's get to it right now and take a look at these products and go through the specs. So here we are with the first box, and this is the Reolink Home Hub, and you will see on the edge of the box we have Reolink Home Hub item number Hub 1. There's also a serial number label, and there's also security seals on the box as well, where you open the flaps. And of course I've already removed the security seal as I've checked the product inside the box already. So let's open the box and see what we get inside. As usual with Reolink products, they provide a nice little envelope with various documents inside. So if you haven't seen my Reolink videos before, then I'll just show you what is inside the envelope. You get a declaration of conformity, you get a very informative quick start guide, which you can also obtain on their website as well. There's also a leaflet saying about battery Wi-Fi security solutions. And again, we have a PSTI statement of compliance. And that's all there is in the box for the Reolink Home Hub. So I'll just put these documents to one side and then we'll carry on. So inside the box, we have two separate boxes. So let's take them both out. And we also have a spacer inside the box. So we'll put the box to one side now. So in the first large box, we have the actual hub itself, which is nicely packaged in a box with some recyclable wrapping on the outside of the hub. So here is the hub, and it looks like basically a home router. It stands probably about, I would say, 6 to 7 inches tall. It's quite compact and it's quite light. On the top we have a ventilation grill around the outside to provide ventilation to the product inside. There's also a plastic stand as well, and at the bottom it's similar. It has a rubber ring around the base so that it grips onto a shelf to stop it moving about and sliding everywhere, which works well. And there's also 2 ventilation holes on the panel at the bottom as well. At the front we have the Reolink logo, as you'll see, and there's also a light, which is a ring light around the outside of a button. So this is actually a button as well, and as well as a status light. So the status light turns different colours depending on the status of the hub. At the back we have the label, we have a QR code, a serial number, and also we have a grill here, which is for a loudspeaker, which provides you with audible instructions when you're setting up the home hub, or it also alerts you to things as well, which is happening when it, for example, detects things on the cameras that are connected to the hub, of course. There's a power inlet socket there, which is a DC 12 volt. There's also below this a recessed reset button, which you insert a key with, which is provided with the product, which I'll show you in a moment. And there's also 2 micro SD card slots. Now this can take 2 SD cards and they can have a capacity for each one of 512 gigabytes. So you can have 2 512 gigabyte SD cards inserted into those 2 slots. However, this of course depends on how many cameras you're using and how much storage space and recording history you want, depending on the size of what SD card you decide to put in. But as I said, they will take up to 512 gigabytes per SD card slot. Also, we have a RJ45 socket, which you use to connect the hub to your home network or to your internet router or router, whichever you like to call it. And this then links this home hub to the internet and the rest of your network. So that's the Reolink Home Hub. Now, one thing that you're probably asking is, what is the difference between the Home Hub and also the Reolink NVR, which I've shown you in previous videos and which you might have seen on the Reolink website. Now, they do have an NVR as well as a Home Hub. Now, the NVR is just a device which actually records video from your cameras, but what the actual Home Hub does, so what this does, it actually creates its own Wi-Fi network, both in the 5 GHz and 2.4 GHz bands. So you have, for example, your normal home Wi-Fi network, which is either controlled by your home router or your network devices or separate access points, depending on what your home setup is like. But what this Home Hub does is actually creates its own sub Wi-Fi network, which is broadcast from this box to your Reolink security cameras. So if you have Reolink Wi-Fi security cameras, then you can connect them to the Wi-Fi network that this Reolink Home Hub is creating. Therefore, it has its own ecosystem, so it's connected on a separate Wi-Fi network to your normal home network, which I think is a great idea because it adds to improved security on your home network. So your cameras would all be on their own Wi-Fi network, and you can then go ahead and use your normal Wi-Fi network for all your regular devices. So that's the difference between basically the Home Hub and the Reolink NVRs, which they also supply. So that's basically what the Reolink Home Hub does. It creates its own ecosystem in this box and also its own 2.4 and 5 GHz Wi-Fi networks that you use to connect your cameras to, whereas the NVRs generally do not do that. So this Home Hub will allow you to have up to 8 Reolink cameras connected to it via either a network or the Wi-Fi network that's created by this Home Hub. So what we'll do is take a look in this box and see what you get as well. Now, in the box we get a power supply, which is a brick 3-pin socket. Here in the UK we have 3-pin sockets, though this is supplied with a UK plug, but of course depending on where you purchase your Home Hub from, then you will get your regional electricity style plug. So the cable plugs in the back of the Home Hub like so, which is a, I believe, 3.5mm jack plug. So that would plug in the Home Hub at the back there. And then we also get with it in the box an Cat5e Ethernet cable, which is, I believe, 1 meter in length. So you could actually use this cable to connect the socket at the back here, and then use the other end of the RJ45 plug to connect it into your router or network switch, depending on what your setup is like. And then lastly in the box, we have the reset key. So this is a small key, as you'll see, with a long pin on the end. Hopefully you can see that against my hand there. And what this is for is to reset the Home Hub. So as I said, there's a reset button there. So all you do is put the pin in there, hear it click, and then it will factory reset the device there. So make sure you keep the key somewhere safe, which is why they supply it in what I call an SD cards case. So that's basically the Reolink Home Hub. So what I'll do now is go through some specifications with you. I'll just put these things to one side. This Reolink Home Hub can take up to 8 cameras. It supports all Reolink Wi-Fi, PoE cameras, battery cameras. However, the battery cameras might require an updated firmware upgrade. So make sure that you upgrade your battery operated cameras with the latest firmware version before you can connect them to this hub. Now, as I've said, it supports all Reolink cameras. Apart from that is the 2K cameras. So any 2K cameras that Reolink have, it will not support those. And also any 5G cameras, they are not supported with the Reolink Hub. But all the other cameras, so I would say the majority of their cameras, can all connect to this Home Hub. So if you want local storage without having to save your video footage into the cloud, then I would say this is definitely a viable option. It's a neat looking device, and as I've said, you can have up to two 512 gigabyte micro SD cards, so it will give you 1 terabyte of storage. So the power supply this requires is 12 volts, and as I've just shown you, the power supply is included with this, and the rating for this is 1 amp. So it's DC 12 volt 1 amp for the power supply. The Ethernet port is rated either at 10 megabits or 100 megabits per second, and it's a standard RJ45 port. There's also storage encryption, so you can actually encrypt your video footage, or camera footage rather, on the SD cards, so they can be encrypted with AES 128-bit encryption algorithm. The wireless standards for this are IEEE 802.1 A, B, GN, AC and also AX. So it supports Wi-Fi 2.4, Wi-Fi 5 and also Wi-Fi 6 is also available on this. But however, I'm not sure if Wi-Fi 6 is actually currently enabled in the software, and it might require an updated software version to get Wi-Fi 6, or it might not yet be available yet. Now, when I did test this, all I did see was the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz bands. The wireless security it supports is WPA, WPA2 and WPA3 as well. And the networking protocols are TCP/IP, UDP, DHCP, P2P, plug and play, RTSP, RTMP, SMTP, SSL, TLS, and also DNS and DDNS, NTP, and also FTP. Now, for the operating systems that this supports with the Reolink software is for PC, Windows, Mac OS, smartphone, which includes iOS and also Android. The maximum user accounts you can have set up in the Reolink app to access this hub and also the cameras can be a maximum of 11 users, and that is with 1 admin account and 10 shared user accounts. It's also compatible with Google Assistant, and I also believe it can be adopted into Home Assistant. So if it can, what I will do is in a future video I will show you this being adopted and integrated into Home Assistant along with the camera as well. So keep a lookout for that video in due course. The operating temperature for this is between -10 degrees Celsius and up to plus 45 degrees Celsius. The weight of this box is 441 grams. And for the dimensions, it is 162 millimeters tall by 95 millimeters wide by 95 millimeters in depth as well. So that's it for this Reolink Home Hub. So what we'll do now is take a look at the Argus Eco Ultra, which is the solar panelled 4K 8 megapixel camera. And here we are with the Reolink Argus Eco Ultra and also the Reolink Solar Panel 2. So let's take a look inside the box, and at the top we have the usual documentation with quick start guides and so on in there. So I'll just put that one to one side. Then we have a layer of packing foam which protects it from damages in transit. And then in the top, which we'll take out this plastic, we have the Reolink Solar Panel 2. And as you can see, this is a quite neat device. It has a long cable attached to it, and this is a USB-C cable, and it's hardwired into the back of the solar panel here. So this is a very neat solar panel. It's quite light, but it is actually made, I believe, of some kind of plastic. However, it is fairly solid. It feels very well constructed. This is the solar panel to power your Argus Eco Ultra camera. So as I said, it comes with a hardwired cable which has a USB-C connection on the other end, and which you plug into the Argus Eco Ultra camera. So there is quite a good length cable on there as well. So also in the box we have a mounting bracket, assortment of screws, wall plugs, and also a strap as well. So it could actually be strapped, for example, to a water pipe or a drain pipe. So you could actually attach the solar panel to something like that. However, we will go into details and I'll show you how these brackets fit onto the devices in the next video, so that it doesn't make this video too long. Otherwise it will get too long and a bit too boring. So what I'll do next is put this solar panel to one side and we'll take a look in the rest of the box and we'll find the camera. So in the box we have a cardboard partition, and then in the bottom of the box we have another plastic tray which I'll take completely out of the box. Now inside this plastic packing material we have a small bracket which is made of metal, so I'll put that to one side. Then we have another mounting bracket there, which is the mounting arm, which you can adjust to make the angle of the camera how you want it and how you want it facing, whether you want it facing vertically, horizontally. We also have a USB-C cable. So this is, I believe, a 1 meter cable. So it's actually a USB-C to USB-A cable. Now, this is for actually initially charging up the camera. So you could actually charge it via a USB port first before you actually connect it up to the solar panel. So if there's not enough power to, for example, to initially set up the camera and adopt it into the software, then what you would do is use this cable to charge up the camera via a USB port. And then what you could do is connect it up to the solar panel when you install it, and that will continue charging it on a day-by-day basis. We also have in the box a strap. Again, you can mount it to a pole should you so wish. And there's also a packet of fixings. So we've got wall plugs and screws in there. So taking the camera out of the box itself, we have the Argus Eco Ultra. Now this is a smart 4K camera and it supports 8 megapixels, and it can also be battery powered or solar powered. And it supports both 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, so dual band, and it also supports color night vision as well. And as with most or nearly all Reolink cameras, there's no subscription or monthly fees or annual fees to pay once you buy their equipment. So this is a nice compact camera. It looks very neat. So at the front we have some plastic film, which I'll just take off for you, and which protects the lens. So this has a built-in microphone, which is here via a little tiny hole. I don't know whether you'll be able to see that on camera very well. But then also here we have some infrared LEDs, and these are in the background here, which you can't actually see at the moment, but there are infrared LEDs. So there's a set there and also a set at that side as well. And in the center we have the camera lens, and then also at the bottom here we have a PIR sensor, so that's a passive infrared sensor. At the top here we have a spotlight, and we also have a daylight sensor, and that is in the actual bottom of the lens here. And then at the bottom of the device we also have a micro SD card slot, which is recessed under a rubber cover. So there is actually a rubber cover that sits over the actual SD card slot and also over the reset button as well. So there is actually an SD card slot there, and then at the side of that there is actually a recess button which is covered over by this normal rubber seal, which protects it from weather during normal operation. Then at the bottom there's also another rubber cover. It's opened up to reveal a USB-C socket. So there's a USB-C socket there which you can use to charge the camera should you so wish, or if you're supplying it with, for example, a battery pack, or you also connect the USB-C cable there from the solar panel. So what you do is connect the USB-C cable plug into the camera here, and then that will keep the battery inside this camera charged up via its solar panel. So again, this is a rubber cover which you just put on there if you're not using it, and then push it shut and it seals it from weather. And between the two rubber covers, there's also a speaker. So there's a loudspeaker, so it can be used as, for example, a siren as well as two-way audio. Then here we have a threaded hole, which is used to connect the bracket to. So you connect the mounting bracket, which, as I've said, is supplied in the box here. And then that connects into the hole there, which is threaded. And then the rest of the bracket would be fixed to the mounting adapter there, which you would then fix to a wall, or if you want to fix it to, for example, a drain pipe or a pole, then you would use the supplied strap there. So that's basically the Reolink Eco Ultra. So with that protective film now back on there, what we'll do is we'll take a look at the specifications. So this is actually made of plastic, the outside casing, but it is actually solid. It feels like a really well built, as all Reolink products are. They all feel really good quality, and the build quality is excellent, as well as the video footage as well, what they record. So onto the specifications for this. It features a 1/2.7 inch CMOS sensor. The resolution it supports is 3840 by 2160. So that's Ultra HD resolution, and it's a maximum of 8 megapixels at 15 frames per second. The video compression it supports is H.265, and the field of view is horizontally 105 degrees that way, and then vertically, so up and down, is 55 degrees, with a diagonal field of view at 125 degrees. The infrared night vision can be up to 10 meters, so it supports up to 10 meters or 33 feet for the infrared night vision, and that's using via the 8-piece LEDs, which are rated at 1.1 watts, 850 nm, and that's auto switching with IR cut filter. The colour night vision is via spotlights, so the spotlights will illuminate on the top of this lens here. So this is the white panel there, which is for the spotlights, and which illuminate at night to provide full colour night vision. And the night vision is rated at 2 watts, so the spotlights are rated at 2 watts, and there's 2 spotlights in there, and the colour range is up to 6500K. For the frame rate, for the mainstream, it's actually 10 frames per second up to 15 frames per second, so it's a maximum of 15 frames per second, as I've just said, and the substream can be 10 frames per second up to 15 frames per second. For the code rate, the mainstream can be 1024 kilobits per second up to 4096 kilobits per second. The default for it is set at 3072 kilobits per second, and for the substream it can be 64 kilobits per second up to 672 kilobits per second, and that is actually the default as well. For the audio, as I've said, it supports two-way audio via its inbuilt speaker there in the centre, which is between the two recessed rubber covers. For the battery inside of this, it's rated at 21.6 watt hours, and that's rechargeable, of course, via its solar panel, or you can actually recharge it by other methods if you so want. Now, for the SD card slot, which is actually internal to this as well, so you don't have to use the Home Hub with this if you don't want. You can actually connect these cameras directly to your computer network, or you can connect them via one of their NVRs as well. So they will actually be supported in the NVRs, the Home Hub, and also directly, because they have their own SD card slot where they will store their camera footage if you so wish. Or, of course, in this video series we'll be using the Home Hub to store the video footage, so we won't need to have the SD card in each camera. However, it will support up to a maximum of 512 gigabytes for the micro SD card slot here. And for the wireless security and operating frequency, it supports 2.4 gigahertz as well as 5 gigahertz. And for the wireless security is WPA or WPA2. Again, this could be adopted into the Reolink app on a smartphone. So it supports both iOS and Android for the app, and also you can install it onto the Reolink software, which you can use on either a Windows or Mac OS. For the smart alarm, it has PIR detection, person detection, vehicle detection, and also pet detection. And the PIR distance can be adjustable up to 10 meters or 33 feet. Now, the recording modes, it is actually a triggered recording. So for example, when somebody walks past the camera where it's set to record to, it will then record that camera footage. Or for example, if your pet goes past, then it will also record that, depending on what you've set it to do in the software, or in the Reolink app, of course, depending on what you're using. So the camera also supports time-lapse recordings, triggered recordings, and it's also compatible with Google Assistant, and also it should be compatible as well with Home Assistant. And as I've said, what I'll do is in a future video, I will show you these being adopted into Home Assistant, should of course Home Assistant support these devices. You can also use cloud storage if you so wish, and that's available in selected countries. And if you want to know more about the cloud storage, then I would suggest having a look at the Reolink website. It is actually weatherproof, which is IP66 rated for this. The dimensions are 191 millimeters by 75 millimeters by 75 millimeters. And the weight for this, it is actually has a little bit of weight to it, and it weighs 431 grams. So that's basically the Reolink Argus Ultra Eco security camera. So that'll do it for this video. So what we'll do in the next video is we'll take a closer look at the products, and for example, I'll show you how the brackets fit on and how you would install them. And what we'll also do is get the products adopted into the Reolink app, so I can show you how to adopt the products into the app and set them up from there. So hope you liked this video, hope you found it useful, and keep watching for the next upcoming videos in this short Reolink series. Thanks for watching, bye for now.